Hello and welcome to this art workshop provided by Arts for All Nevada and Washoe County School District. Today we're going to create an image using basic shapes, in this case a circle, and we're going to explore a range of different media and see what effects or qualities they have on the paper. So what we're going to need to use is a piece of blue paper for the background, a couple of sheets of white construction paper, a range of oil pastels in just basic colours, a glue stick, some stickers, you probably need one sheet per person, a range of different size paper cups or whatever you've got to draw for circles, and obviously I've got a small, a medium and a large, a pencil and a pair of scissors. So what we're going to start with is a book called Snowmen at Night, because obviously that's our theme that we're going to use today. So Snowmen at Night. Let's see what they get up to. Here he is, he's making his snowman. One wintry day I made a snowman, very round and tall. The next day when I saw him, he was not the same at all. His hat had slipped, his arms drooped down, he really looked a fright. It made me start to wonder, what do snowmen do at night? I think that snowmen start to slide when it gets really dark, off the lawn and down the street, right into the park. They gather in a circle while they wait for all the others, sipping cups of ice-cold cocoa made by snowman mothers. Then snowman games begin. They line up in their places, each one anxious for his turn in the snowman races. After everyone has had a chance at racing once or twice, they go on over to the pond to do skating tricks on ice. Sometimes they start giggling and then they act like clowns. They bump into each other till they all fall down. They gather up their snowballs, the pitcher takes his aim, and underneath the moonlight sky they play a baseball game. No one knows just how it started, but soon it's quite a sight, with snowmen throwing snowballs in the world's best snowball fight. Then it's time for sledging. It's a wild ride down the hill. Woohoo, they yell. This is by far the snowman's biggest thrill. Finally, they're tuckered out and getting sleepy, so they slowly gather up their things and one by one they go. So if your snowman's grin is crooked or he's lost a little height, you'll know he's just been doing what snowmen do at night. And then they are playing on the swings. So what I want you to have a quick look at before we move on is just look, these snowmen, they're all made of circles, 3 circles stacked together, but their scarves and their hats are all different, and that gives each one of them a slightly different personality. So you can think about how you are going to make your snowman just for you. So the artist that I've got to show you is an artist who was known as Grandma Moses. Her real name was Anne Marie Robertson Moses, and she was an American artist, and she didn't actually start painting until she was 78 years of age. Prior to that, she had been working on farms, either working in a house or working with a husband, and her artistic outlet had been doing embroidery, but as she got older she ended up having arthritis in her hands, and it meant she couldn't do the fine needlework. So she turned her hand to painting, and she became really well known. She was selling her work in a local shop, and a dealer found it and entered her work into a museum exhibition for contemporary unknown American painters in 1938, and from there her fame grew, and in 1940 she ended up having her own exhibition, and it was titled "What a Farmer's Wife Painted," and she became very well known from there and was in magazines, on TV shows. She was awarded 2 honorary degrees, and her work has been used for lots of things like calendars and cards all over the world. Her style is what we call folk art. So folk art is work that's been done in a community, often using traditional tools and methods, not what we say formally trained. So she just educated herself on how to do this. So the very, very simple shapes to actually show the scene, but we can tell what's happening. The snowy scene with the town and the buildings in there. But it's a real, just a basic picture. But I like the idea of just those simple shapes building up to make a whole image that we recognise. So we're going to use that idea for ours. And just to go over some of the words I've already used and will probably use again, we've got shape, size and mixed media. So shape, you've heard before. So it's where a line or an edge describes an area. So I'm just going to go round in sort of a square shape. So it can be shapes that we recognise, or it can be shapes that really don't have a name. And we can also have shapes not just described by the line, but actually coloured in so that the whole thing is that one colour. So shapes can be all different sizes, and they can be in line or they can be a solid area. The size is obviously how big they are. So we can have a small or a medium or a very large shape, and in this case what we're going to use is circles. The big thing to note here is because they're different sizes, it adds interest to our work, and that's how we are going to create our snow and our snowman, by using the same shape but varying whether it's a small, medium or large. Media is the materials you're using, so I'm drawing with a pen at the moment, and that makes a certain type of mark on the paper. But when we're doing a painting or a drawing with mixed media, we're using lots of different materials on the one piece of artwork that we're doing. And you can see I've got 3 blue pieces here. So that's the pen, that's the oil pastels and the paper. They all create one image in the one that we're going to do today, but look how different they are from each other, how they visually look different. So that's why we use mixed media, all the different materials on one piece to create different images on the paper. So let's get started with our actual piece of work. So the blue is going to be our background. You can obviously go a little bit darker if you want to. I'm just using the very light blue so that you can see. And we're going to start with our snowman, and we're also going to start with the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear across the paper, and I'm just going nice and slowly. I can make it go up and down. And this is actually going to create our base, what our snowman is going to stand on. And I've made it really jagged so that our shape is not well defined. And we're going to glue that just using a glue stick on the bottom of our paper. This is going to give us our base, that our snowman's standing on. And you can see I've gone around the edges to make sure they stick. And then I'm going to press it down onto the background. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to get our 3 circles. So I'm using 3 different sizes of paper cups, and I'm just going to use them as templates to draw around. So this is just a really small paper cup. This one's a little bit bigger. So it's back to our words that I was using. We've got different sizes because we're going to add interest to our piece, and you are going to cut them out I like to cut them down a little bit first, and then that just makes it easier for me to cut round. And I'm just going to trace it little marks at a time, going all the way round. If it's not quite a circle or it tears slightly, it doesn't matter. The snowman can be slightly different shapes if you want them to be, or if it ends up that way. So you're going to cut all three out. I'm just using a really thin pencil line to describe my shape. I find if you go a little bit darker, it sometimes shows through, so I want them just to look as white as I can make them. Takes a little bit of time. But I've decided to have three different shapes, and maybe you can have one that's maybe all the same shape or size, and you can build it from there. Another alternative I will just mention before we go on, if you happen to have them, I've got these big cutters, so you can actually use them to, it's like a big hole punch, and they will give you your circles if you happen to have them at different sizes. It's just a little bit more of an investment to get them, but obviously you can cut a number of circles out. So once you've got your circles, you're going to glue them in place. So work from the biggest one up, and again remember we're going round the edges first. It's going to overlap with the snow on the bottom. Make sure they look like they're sitting on top of each other. And you can see we've got the three different sizes of circles, which adds a little bit of interest to our snowman. I'm actually going to carry on with my circles because I'm going to actually make it look like it's snowing. And I'm just going to use these stickers and I'm going to spread them out all around my snowman. You don't have to be too careful, make them evenly spaced. Some can be closer together. Some might even be falling on the ground at the bottom. Just see wherever you feel maybe they're going off the edge of the paper. If they've gone off the edge of the paper, what you can do is just fold it over slightly. And that gives our snowman, oh, bit of red there, on our piece of paper, and the snow in the background, just like Grandma Moses had. And then I'm going to use the oil pastels. The reason I'm using the oil pastels is they are very soft to use, and they will cover a lot of the colour from the background, and it will look quite even. So I'm just going to start. You can decide what you're going to do on your snowman. I'm going to give him a red scarf, and I'm going to colour it in so it really, really stands out. The shape of it is not just going to be an outline, it's going to be a solid shape. And then you can decide where you want to, how long your scarf is going to go and how long it's going to be. And I'm going to put some fringes on the bottom of it. I've done a flowing shape, but you can make it straight. It's entirely up to you. The nice thing with these, if you want to add on to it, you can actually just draw straight over the top with them. I'm going to use a black to give him some buttons. And maybe I'm going to put some arms on him. Oh, he definitely needs some eyes. And I'm going to give him a carrot nose. And then I think I'm going to give him a hat. Now I'm going to do this one like a top hat, so I'm going to go all the way across. You can see I can actually cover the background, and I even went over onto the other snow piece there. going to have quite a big hat on this one. And then colour it in so that it's really solid shape. So not only is the line describing the shape, we're actually filling it in so it really stands out. And then maybe, nice thing with these, you can actually draw over the top of them. I think we'll see if it, yeah, a green band round his hat. And maybe I'm actually going to put some stripes on his scarf. Maybe you want to put mittens on him, or maybe he's holding a stick. You've got to decide what you want to do with your snowman. So what I'm also going to do is I'm actually going to use the blue to do really tiny little circles. Again, we're adding interest by varying the size of our shapes. And I'm just going to fill in, just like Grandma Moses did, over the top of my picture, just to give it the effect that it's snowing. So that's just a guide of what I've done with mine. You can obviously do something different with your shapes of your hats and your scarves and arms, or you could put gloves on it. But play around with the oil pastels and see how you can decorate your snowman. If you finish that and you want to do something else to do with Grandma Moses's work, what I've done is a very simple painting, again using the really simple shapes of her painting. I've borrowed one of the houses and I've done that one there. You might just do your own house in a snowy winter scene. Don't worry about making it too realistic. Just think about the shapes of things so that you can recognise what it is. And the snow, what I actually did for that, because it's really hard to do a consistent circle, I actually turned my paintbrush upside down, so I used the end of it and stamped it into white paint right over the top. See how the snow comes right over the front of the image so that it looks like the whole thing is snowing. So have fun experimenting with snowy winter scenes and having a look at the simple shapes and how we can show things even just using those simple shapes. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.